All right, the purpose of this task is for you to determine which students have not completed testing. Now, as an ANet coordinator and or backup, you are probably considered a non-rostered teacher. So a non-rostered teacher is a teacher in which that person does not have students attached to him or her in JCampus. And the way in which you would access classes is different from the way a rostered teacher access classes. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this task. So basically, you wanted to determine which students have not completed testing, so you can encourage those students to do so. So remember, you have until that particular deadline, which is September 15th for the math diagnostic, to do this. All right, so here's what you're going to do. It's not a difficult process to get to that part, but if you have a large number of classes at your school, in particular high schools, it could be cumbersome. There is no easy way to do this. All right, so you're going to go to your dashboard and you're going to see something that looks like this. The next thing you want to do is go to where it says Access Online Assessments. So click on Access Online Assessments. And when you do that, you're going to see this. So you're going to go to where it says All Classes. So click on All Classes. And then you're going to go to Manage. So click on Manage. And then you're going to see this. Now, you may say, well, I'm going to search for a teacher's name, right? And notice there's a drop-down menu and there's nothing there. It's just the word class. But if you search for a teacher's name, let's say I'm going to search for Lockett. And notice that these are the classes that Lockett has, okay? So you can search just by looking for a teacher's name as long as it appears somewhere in this word in the class part here, okay? So you can easily do that. Now, another way you can get all the classes is just by clicking on search. So when you click on search, notice that you're going to get all these classes right here, okay? Now, you're only going to get the classes that are at your school. Now, I have multiple schools, so I get the classes at every school. So I have Northeast High, I have Twin Oaks, I have Southeast Middle School, and so on. I also want you to notice that you see some English classes here. But remember, for the diagnostic, English does not take a diagnostic test. Remember, English takes a reading fluency. That is not the same as what you would be doing with math diagnostic, which is where they go online on the ANet platform to take it. So if you click on English, you'll see there's nothing that appears. If you click on math, you see something appears, right? So there's a green manage button. So there's nothing on English. Scroll down, here's another English, there's nothing there. Okay, there's not supposed to be anything there for the diagnostic. So remember, English is reading fluency. Math is diagnostic. Okay, all right, now let me go back and I'm going to click on this one again. And I want you to notice when you click on this, you'll see this information here. This is the class that's listed in JCampus. So the class is listed as Math 7, the teachers, banks, and I would assume that 03 may be the period. That class is assigned Math Grade 7. All right, now remember, one of the things you had to do before all this began was you had to go and verify that those students were scheduled the correct test. All right, so ANet is assuming that all these students in this class is assigned this Math Grade 7 diagnostic. All right, so let's look at another one. So I'm going to go to this one. All right, so Math 8. So notice the class is Math 8, the teacher's name is Washington, and 01 here would probably indicate the period, I would imagine. But all those students in that class is assigned the grade 8 diagnostic. All right, so remember that was something you had to verify, and your teachers could have done that as well. If I go to EBR Virtual right here, Math 7, we notice something though. There are 2 Manage buttons. Now remember, this is Math 7, right? So Math 7. So you would think that every student in Math 7 is a 7th grade student. And so those 7th grade students would take the Math Grade 7 diagnostic. But according to what ANet is reading through Clever, which comes through JCampus, this class right here, this class, which is a grade 7 math class, has 6th grade students in it. Because if I click on Manage, I'm going to show you, when I click on Manage right here, it will list the students. So the student's name is here. I'm going ahead and blur it out. The student's name is here, and those students are indicated as 6th grade students. So if that was not correct, if those students are actually 7th grade students, then that means that in JCampus there's an error. Those students are enrolled in the wrong grade level. So that had to be fixed. Okay, so just keep in mind that you may see something like that. Remember, you have until September 15th, so you have about 3 weeks left. So if you get into this situation and you realize that those 2 students that are classified as taking that Math Grade 6 were actually grade 7 students, then whoever does the scheduling at your school need to go quickly into JCampus and fix this. And it takes about 48 hours for it to be corrected in ANet. All right, so just be aware. But let's go back to Manage. So remember, the whole purpose of this task was to determine which students have not completed testing, right? So for each of those classes you see there, you're going to go through each one and you're going to say, all right, so and let me see if I can move it over. I can't move it over. But in this teacher's class, those 2 students. So then you get with the teacher and you say, look, those 2 students haven't started testing. When do you think you can get started on having those students do this? All right, so let me go ahead and close this, and let's go to the next one. So now we have these students that started testing. Notice though, some says submitted. So if it says submitted, that means the student took the test and submitted. And you can see the attempted items. So that first student completed 15 out of 15. That second student here did not start. So that's where you would have to go to the teacher and say, look, this student has not started. Is the student absent? Can you go ahead and get that student to take this math diagnostic? So you see all the submitted, and you scroll down. There's a bar here. Scroll down and notice you see submitted, not submitted. Now I want you to see something. This right here says started, right? This says started. Notice that student completed 11 out of 15. So there's an issue here. So the student started, but they did not obviously finish because the student has 4 items left. So then what you want to do is try to get that student back on ANet to try and complete this test. All right. Now, if the student says this, if the student says, I don't know the answers, so that's why I didn't finish, then all you do is this, submit for the student. Go right here, and the teacher can do this. The teacher can go and do their own classes as well. Go right here in the little box, right here, and then say submit. Okay, so you can do it as well. So if you see some started and it says 15 out of 15, that means the student didn't do that last step, which was submit. You can go ahead and submit for that student. Just put a little check marks. You could do multiple at a time if you want to. See that? And then just click submit. Okay? All right. And I think that's it. So that's a quick, and we'll go ahead and close this. So that's a quick way of well, I don't know if it's quick if you're in high school, right? Because in high school you could probably have about 40 of these classes for math. can have about 40 of those. But that's what you do. You have to go through each one like this. Now you see this one here again has 2 of these. So this student's taking integrated algebra. So I'm assuming they're an 8th grade student. Not algebra 1, but an 8th grade student. And so there are some students that are grade 8 and some students that are grade 7 in that 8th grade class. All right, so if that's correct, then those students, if these are actually grade 7 students taking the 8th grade math, then I would leave it like that, because the grade 7 students are actually going to be taking the LEAP grade 7. The grade 8 students are actually going to be taking the LEAP grade 8. But I'm just wondering, why are there some students in grade 7 that are taking a grade 8 math class? All right. And it could be with the way they call this integrated algebra. So what is integrated algebra? What is that? If it's grade 8 math, why not call it grade 8 math? Is it the same as grade 8 math? So that's some things. So schools name their classes differently from other schools. So there's some inconsistencies there in nomenclature for naming classes. Like, see, this school calls it grade math 8. Okay, makes sense, right? It's an 8th grade math class. And it's very straightforward. There's no ambiguity here. Now, sometimes you'll see a grade 2 right here. So remember, ANet is only for grades 3 and above. So that's why you don't see anything here. Because even though there's a class at your grade 2, there's no ANet assessment to be taken. All right. Okay, so I think you have the idea. And so that is how you're going to determine which students have not completed testing. And remember, teachers can go through this process as well. Now, I believe that teachers will, when a teacher logs in, they'll see every class of that school. It's not just their own, but every class. And don't forget, you can go ahead and search for a teacher. Like I'm going to search for Washington. And notice that all the classes that have the word Washington in it, see this, will show up. So you have Southeast Middle, Park Forest Middle, Villa Del Rey. See, there's a teacher whose name is Washington. All right, so you can search by by the teacher's last name as long as it appears in that class name right here. All right. Okay, so that should take care of this task. So you should be able now to determine which students have not completed testing. All right, so if you have any questions, don't forget you can always email me or call me.